things under my pillow.
read the literature. I know it's boring. To me, I was a tweaker when I came in. I couldn't sleep. After a couple lines out of the big book, I was sleeping like a baby.
By the way, nice paranoia.
And find your groove.
Yeah,
This can also be.
That's quite fantastic.
They call it a social experiment. You don't have to.
Only had a couple of.
Nobody cared.
I mean, I'm a one day at a time type of guy, so I know what's waiting for me if I go pick up.
Okay, same
nothing
difference.
But cops, misery,
Again,
and
drama that doesn't necessarily have to be drama. In your particular case, there's probably some truth to it, but
so
truthfully, not really.
Just,
so, in this
drink,
shorter episode today, since it went so long last time, what would you like to say
and I will speak to those with 5+ years. And since this is our first episode, I'll explain. Ian's probably got a different number, and we'll take turns sending out our future messages and our past message. My message is for those who have 5+ years.
All right.
I don't think you know shit until you have 5 years in the program. And then at 5 years, you wake up one morning and you go, oh, now I get it. It might happen sooner for you, but it is based on my opinion and what I have seen out of people.
Okay.
Takes about 5 years.
What would you like
Fair
to
number?
say to
plus or minus
the
5 years?
Newcomer?
The absolute. Just worry about stuff.
It's probably 3 to 5, but I like rounding up to an easy number.
I would say 3 to 5. It depends on the person.
And what would you like to say to our little 30-dayer who's following along?
But
congratulations.
There's a couple moments of clarity that I got early on, and I realized it. And I just.
I was not.
My responsibilities increased, and I had to really stay sober for that. And it's when, for me, it's when life is going good, like at 5 years or 6 years or 7 years. That's when I get complacent. That's
For
when
my
I
30
feel
days,
like
I recall standing in a courtroom getting ready to evict a family who had recently lost their son up in the San Gabriel Mountains. I, of course, working for a bank and newly sober, finding this to be the most horrific thing I've ever been presented with, then subsequently went forward and evicted him.
And luckily,
as well,
I've been around enough to
while the
realize
news cameras were outside.
That's happening.
What we do is not really that.
In the beginning.
But you know me pretty well. It's kind of who I am, isn't it?
When I
Well,
want to act out, I try and pause. Definitely when I have cravings to drink or use, I pause. Because no matter what I'm feeling, good, bad, or indifferent, it's going to change. This too shall pass, whether it's good, whether it's bad. So as long as I can hold on to my ass long enough till that feeling goes away,
I believe that.
I'm going to have a shot at making it a productive day.
Ripping off drug dealers does not
my problem is my two biggest fears are fear of success and fear of failure.
Well, it's fun.
So,
it's fun because they're stupid.
When one's stronger than the other, I'm going to have a great day.
Yeah, and no,
when
you
the
do
other
it. You do it for the. You got to do it for the thrill.
It'll probably be fun.
There's a lot easier ways to make money.
That somehow screams oxymoron.
Yeah, right, it does. Well, that's how I know I'm
half of the effort legitimately.
Well, my message today is for those that have 5+ years.
Real estate.
It is not a message of hope. My message of hope is to the person who has one day listening to this for the first time. You who have one day, you are statistically more likely going to see 5 years without drinking or using again. Those of you listening to the show who have 5+ years, you are more statistically likely to drink before the other person.
Now, of the
newcomers kind of have
so of you following along with
was that Dickie on my part? I wanted to end on a Dickie note.
Sorry you fell off on the extra long episode. I thought the content of Step 2 was compelling.
Hey, if you and I can stay sober, anybody can,
buddy.
That is real proof, and we'll definitely get into our stories because tune in next time to Step 1.
It is, and
we're going to go one by one.
The 6
for these first 13 episodes, we will
I've
tell
done.
our stories and we will put them into practical play.
6,
just so you know,
they've all been the same thing.
Ian is a God-fearing NACA guy. I am.
Okay.
God's on my side.
I'm an atheist.
I still haven't had a spiritual awakening.
I believe you can be either one and still get sober.
Open.
Absolutely.
I don't have to be to the agnostic.
Still hasn't happened.
I'm telling you straight up, if you got no belief in a higher power, trust me, the other steps will kind of work themselves out for you.
All 12 steps.
Yeah.
We get to it. I'll explain it. I don't want to give away the
break
punchline, but the punchline is that if you're
times
going to be a real
in
atheist,
the
the
past
secret,
22 years.
you've got to be 100% honest in your entire
All
lifestyle.
12 of the steps,
You literally
multiple
have
times,
to be honest
and
all the
on
time.
tune-up.
You cannot. because you have nothing to fall back on. There's no
I keep waiting
higher power.
for
No, if you really live the atheist lifestyle, those are the honest people in the room. But if they're not, they're not being honest. You kind of have to be congruent to it. But look, I don't want to turn anybody off before we get there. I'm just saying, if you have issues with God, great, hang in there. We'll talk about it.
Is that
everybody does to some degree or another,
right?
And now that one of the physicists has completely confirmed the fact that we are biological experiments in a petri dish,
again, this is why I gotta say it's gotta be
I'm
about
trying
a 5
to
year
mentally
thing,
wrap my brains
years,
around that one these days. Is that crazy conspiracy theory stuff?
So, like a little bit too much THC to
me. Maybe, but that's a physicist. So tune in again next week. Sign up here on Spreaker. It will be on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio. It takes a couple of weeks for those to happen. But if you're listening to it off this link, click on the little button on your player and sign up. So you'll have the show next week. We'll also make sure you guys have it in the feed. Send us an email at black, the word black.
You can really clean up shit.
The word recovery, 3 words, black, white, recovery at gmail.com.
That's good times.
And we'll answer all of your questions. I would love to do a mailbag session. Next week, everybody.
No, I
okay. Set your clocks to it. Step 1. So if you're waiting to do your step 1, I highly recommend you wait till you hear from us. I've done this episode. 3 or 4 different versions of the silly thing.
Because we still have no email to read at this point in the show.
Everybody's got to spin on step 1. Everybody.
4 weeks in,
no email.
Nobody listens live.
I'm glad I got clean
I'm
before
telling you that this goes up.
Yeah,
on
mine
all
was
the sober
in
groups.
the hospital, and it was so
I'm
shocking
you,
to me to hear my life story that
show,
even I was
like,
I had the out of body of
newcomers.
Who the hell is this?
Yeah,
this doesn't even sound real.
White recovery.
So we'll talk about it next week,
black,
and
white
having your first
out
of body experience, sharing your stories. Hopefully that works for you.
Starting next week,
again, black, white recovery at Gmail.
We will
send us an email. We'll read them on the air next week. Hopefully we hear from you.
I'm a big
certainly,
fan of
Ian would be more than happy to
better than iTunes.
Talk about whatever you send in. I'm sure. I personally don't care if you guys ever
this will be a very simple show to get a hold of,
which will probably ensure I get emails of people who hate me. I'm sure of it.
Hate mail.
He's the white hat.
What I would say is write about it and tell your sponsor if you hate
Certainly,
me.
There's some
the
level
episode.
of recovery, and I think anybody
and I'm glad.
can agree
And I'm glad to
on
know. My egotistical self is glad to know that somewhere there's somebody writing about me and telling their sponsor.
Or you're more full of it than me.
Nice, right?
Nice, absolutely.
Tune in next week. We will be here, everyone. Thank you for listening.
A little bit of both.
Thanks for keeping me sober.
Tune in next week. We will be doing your favorite step of them all, everyone. Step 4. And to be perfectly honest, we'll make it. I'll give you an interesting precursor to it. Ian and I will admit to being thorough and honest, and do some of the things that are on our step 4 for you that we deem horrifying, probably the first time we put them down, and now 20 years after the fact, they're not so bad.
Yeah,
they're really I have been a sponsor, and I have heard things where I went, "Wow, you need to tell a chaplain. You don't need to tell me this stuff." Wow. If your sponsor has ever said that to you, you have a good 4th step. You really, that's thorough, boy. If your sponsor looks at you and tells you need a therapist, a chaplain, and a lawyer, that's a good 4th step. Just saying. Black, white recovery.
Yeah, usually a lawyer.
A lawyer would be good. Yeah.
A lawyer, guns, and money. If you need that on your 4th step, you're okay. You had a good time.
And we will argue the structure of 4th steps, traditional as compared to neo, post-apocalyptic, modern, that you kids today like to do.
The charts.
The charts?
Fill in the blank.
Charts! Holy crap, the columns.
Mad Libs Recovery.
It's Mad Libs Recovery. We are back to the columns. Are you still making people do the columns?
Sometimes.
Do you really?
I actually like the charts. I mean, I do the charts for my 10 step.
Do you really?
Yeah, but whenever I do a first 4
do you do the 7 deadly sin column and the whole on the chart thing? And
I don't think that's on the charts.
I know if you're doing the column version, they want to know which
ways of how it affected.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Holy shit. You're hardcore. You're what they call, wow, how ironic. They would call you a book Nazi. You're a step Nazi.
I could be, yeah.
Have you been called a step Nazi?
Yes, I have.
Kind of ironic in a strange way, too. All right. I like the humor in that. That'll do it for this week. Tune in next week while we expose horrifying shadows of our past and expose our step 4 and probably not really besmirch ourselves at all. To be perfectly honest, driving while intoxicated and running over a few curbs and taking out a few innocent bystanders, that's kind of common in our line of work. Kind of.
Yeah, that's a given. That's
the easy stuff. So if that's the worst you got on your list, hang out for another week, stay sober for another week. Prove to me that you can do it. Yeah. I am still looking forward to being somewhere in the country where somebody goes, bro, I listened to your show and I stayed sober just because I didn't want you to be right. Hey, good.
Yeah, thank you.
Great. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely.
I'm really looking forward to it.
When are you going to post this? Because I actually have a speaking engagement at Scottsdale's Friday Night Speakers.
I'm going to post this. What's today? We're recording right now. It is Tuesday, right? Or Wednesday?
It's Wednesday.
This show will be posted and out tonight. So I can get it out and up so you can disperse it on Thursday. So everybody listening to it now, whatever day it is, but hopefully on Thursday for the live run or after it airs, where will you be speaking on Friday, Ian?
905 East McDonald in Scottsdale at Valley Presbyterian Church. Scottsdale Friday Night Speakers. It is a double speaker meeting, 1 female, 1 male, and it is at 7:30 p.m. on Friday.
How many minutes are you doing?
20 to 25.
Will it all be what it's like now?
Yes.
Do you do any of your past at all?
Not for that meeting.
I don't think any of that matters.
A lot of H&I do to help relate with people, but yeah, no, not for that meeting.
Will you sign big books if anybody comes up to you to get a phone number and a signature?
Of course. When I first got sober, they used to call that meeting "Quit Drinking, Drive a Lincoln," and then it was called the See and Be Seen meeting. Now,
so it's a meat shop.
It used to be.
It's not a meat market anymore.
Not anymore, no.
Oh, bummer.
No, otherwise I wouldn't be speaking. Out in the audience.
The one in Southern California is the Pasadena Women's Club. It was known as the meat market. It was a speaker meeting, and it was absolutely about going there to hook up.
Yeah.
You might as well just dangle meat off your tail.
Nice.
I mean, it is just that bad.
Aren't there a lot of vegetarians out there?
No, not really.
No.
It's completely overrated.
That's a whole other deal, too.
That's a whole other deal and a different religion altogether. Yeah. Say something encouraging to the newcomer.
Life will get better. Might not get better right away. But the things that you think that you need today, you really don't need at all.
The management apologizes for today's show. Please send your complaints to blackwhiterecovery@gmail.com. That's the words black, the word white, and the word recovery at Gmail.
Dearly beloved, are you listening? I can't remember a word that you were saying.